I'd like to explain a little bit about why the Reform movement has never been accepted and never will be accepted in Judaism. Throughout our history, our long history, there have always been various cults. And cults came about for political reasons, because of external influences, and also because of various pressures that Am Yisrael has had to experience. There's no need really to speak about the Samaritans, the Shomronim, because they're not even considered part of the Jewish people. Even though they embraced part of our religion and faith, they never really intended to embrace the whole thing and become full-fledged Jews. So we're not even going to be speaking about them. The various groups that come to mind in speaking about groups or cults, one of them is the Tzdukim, as known in English, the Sadducees, that lived in the Second Temple era. Jews, like everybody, just like everybody else, who participated in the service of the Beit HaMikdash, who believed, of course, in Hashem, who believed in the Torah, but did not agree that the Chachamim had the authority to interpret the Torah as they see it fit. And we know that the Chachamim received authority from the Torah to transmit to us the oral law, the Torah Sheba'al Peh, to elaborate on it, to clarify it, as they see, based on circumstances, based on new situations that arise. They have that samchut. They have the jurisdiction to do so. But, as I said, because of political reasons and other agendas, the Tzdukim did not agree, did not follow suit, and that caused a little bit of a split in the nation, where you had Tzdukim and Prushim. Prushim were the more observant, religious, those who stuck to the tradition, as was always known. Years later, about 900 years later or so, you had also the Karaim, or the Karaites, who also, very similarly, did not accept that there is a Torah Sheba'al Peh, that there is an oral law. Similar to the Tzdukim, they did not give that too much credit. They interpreted the Torah literally. For example, it says that on Shabbat you should not have any fire lit. Well, that means that you sit in darkness. Where the interpretation of that commandment was, you cannot light it on Shabbat. But if you lit it before Shabbat, it's perfectly fine and acceptable. On the contrary, you want to have a beautiful Shabbat. You want to have a lit Shabbat. They're almost gone. There's still a few of them around today, all over the world, Karaites. We don't marry them unless they completely convert, because they've been completely separated from the Jewish people. So there have been all sorts of groups, for a variety of reasons, who drifted from traditional Judaism. The concern, however, and that's a nice topic, is about the reform. Why? Because even though some people drifted, they've completely distanced themselves in such a way that perhaps we can compare it to a soldier deserting the army. And that's a crime, to desert the army, to not go along with it. And that's what they've done. They basically deserted the camp by abandoning everything. So because this is so different, so extreme, we need to understand how it came about. And for that, I'm going to share with you a little bit of the background of how this movement came about. And, of course, the bigger question of all, how come they have been condemned or ostracized by observant Jews? Aren't they just like anybody else? No. As we will see later on, they've removed themselves, and as a result of removing themselves, they've brought upon themselves this condemnation. I will also talk briefly about another group, another movement called the conservative movement, that has certain similarities in this country to reform. Let's begin with a little bit of background on Judaism. Judaism has been around for over 3,300 years. And Judaism has never only been a faith, an emunah, or just a belief. It's been a way of life. And in this way of life, when a Jew conducts himself according to certain standards that are in the Torah, he would demonstrate, or he would act as a witness to the fact that there is a creator, that life is purposeful, yesh tachlit, and that there's also a continuous connection between that creator and his creation,